are the end of February, and on the second edition of Cooking with DC, we are doing Caldo de Res. This is a Mexican tradition. I mean, my Nana did it, my mom cooked it, everybody in my family loves Caldo de Res. And if you don't speak Spanish, Caldo de Res is beef soup. Now, traditional Mexican Caldo de Res is very simple. There's not a lot to it, and this meal will cost you, it's less than $20. So one of the things I wanted to do when we talked about, cooking this healthy Mexican food, I wanted to make sure that you knew it was also affordable. So I have beef broth, but you don't need it. This is optional. A can of petite diced tomatoes. Again, this is optional. This is what I like. I prefer to put that in my caldo de res. I'm cheating. You usually buy large carrots and you would slice them very large, very coarsely. I bought baby carrots because it's easier for me. Jalapeno, cilantro, 6 red potatoes. I prefer red. They're a little bit less starch in them, a little bit less than most potatoes. So for me, I prefer that in my caldo de res. Olive oil, zucchinis, tortillas, and the beef shank. Now you can use chuck. I like shank, and if you notice, I have bones here. Wash the meat. Now you don't scrub because you don't want to take the juices of the meat out, but you do want to wash and scrub that bone. I've washed all my vegetables. I also have corn tortillas here that I already had. So again, this caldo de res is very simple to make. It will cost you under $20. My 8-quart pan is ready. My knife is ready. I already cut my meat, washed it up, and we're ready to do this. So follow along and let's cook some traditional Mexican caldo de res. So this is an optional step as well when you're making traditional Mexican caldo de res. I added 2 teaspoons of olive oil to my pan. I am going to brown my meat. It does give it more flavor, but you don't have to do this step. If you have time, it's about 10 minutes of your life, you're not gonna get back. But if you do have a little time and you wanna just add a little extra flavor, it makes a great broth. This step just takes a few minutes. You're going to brown it, sear it a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next step after. Okay, so the meat does not take long to brown. You don't want to overcook this because when you boil it, it's gonna get really soft. Now, I love the bone in. I think that it makes the flavor of the soup really come out. So I choose to do that. Now I'm gonna add a tiny bit of garlic salt. Some people put whole garlic in their caldo de res, and it really is delicious, but I've mentioned this before, DJ Automatic is sensitive to whole garlic, so we have, decided we're not gonna make him sick when we make food. So a little bit of garlic salt, just a tiny bit, and continue to stir. This will be ready in just a few minutes to add the water. That'll be the next step. In about 10 minutes. And if you look at this meat, it's brown. You see that delicious broth in there? Automatic, can you smell that? Mm-hmm. I don't call you Automatic at home, but damn it, nobody knows your real name, so we're gonna keep it like that, okay? Okay, so it's really brown. You see the marrow inside the bone is brown as well. This adds so much more flavor to the caldo de res, but it is a step you do not have to do because this meat, the shank, is so soft. When you boil it, it's gonna get tender anyway, but this is just, that's so much more flavor. Now, here is another optional step. I boil my water before I put it in. You can see it's already pretty hot, it's starting to bubble. So what I will do is I will add, if I need to add more water, I'll boil every single time. Because if not, you stop everything from cooking. So we are adding our water to the pot. We wanna make sure everything is covered. Nice and covered. I'm gonna have to boil a little bit more. I'll do that here a little bit. And I'm gonna bring it to a boil and then we're gonna simmer it. Now, optional as well, I'm going to add my canned tomatoes because I like that. I just don't want it splashing everywhere. And now I'll bring this to a boil and then a simmer.
When do you put the potatoes in?
So everything boils for about an hour and 15 minutes before you add the next step. And we'll get to that. You see, Otto, you're hungry, aren't you?
An hour and 15 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Damn.
I almost forgot a very important part of making caldo de res, skimming the top. As this boils for about an hour and 15 to an hour and 30 minutes, you know, you feel your meat, make sure it's really tender. You want this to be just extremely tender, the meat, and it shouldn't take more than an hour and 30 minutes. That's a bit long if you ask me. You want to skim the top of this. You'll start seeing some froth. You want to keep this soup clean. It's such a delicious, hearty soup. So once it starts boiling, you're going to bring it down to more of a low boil or a high simmer, and then you'll go and you'll skim the top. Another thing I mentioned that I boil my water to add to it, you want to make sure that the liquid stays above the meat. You want to make sure that there is plenty of liquid in here so that the meat cooks down and gets as soft as it can. So I'm going to start skimming now. Okay, so now here we are with our vegetables. I told you I cheated. I didn't buy the big carrots. So, I will be washing these, however. I have cilantro that isn't going till the very end. Jalapeno, optional. If you don't like chile, if you don't like that hot, picoso feeling, you don't have to add jalapeno. We love it. Red potatoes, zucchini. I'm going to slice everything up and then wash them again, even though they're already washed. This is a soup. You want everything to be as clean as possible. So we have an hour and 15 minutes to wait. I don't have to try to hurry up. I can take my time cutting each vegetable. I like them a little thicker in caldo. If you've ever been to a Mexican restaurant or your own nana like mine would make it, everything's a little thicker than in a normal vegetable soup. So I'm gonna start cutting now. So I wanted to show you something. I washed my vegetables over and over again, and there is still, on these potatoes, they're still dirty. That's what I mean. Like, it is so important to make sure that these vegetables are washed over and over again, because once you open the potato, they do live in the dirt, everything comes out. So we'll be washing everything before we place it in our pot back here. All right, so I forgot a very important part of caldo de res, and that is the corn. Now, fresh corn is great. I didn't feel like pulling the husk off. I didn't feel like, doing all that, so I bought frozen corn. And you can do the same. The thing is, you will not put these in when you put the rest of the vegetables in. Your potatoes and carrots will go first, and then the zucchini will come after. This will be last, the last few minutes. Oh, and the jalapeno go in with the potatoes and the carrots as well. These you cook as instructed unless you do fresh corn, and then you're gonna put them in with the zucchini if you decide you want fresh. I just wanted to cheat like I did with the carrot. Why not? Okay, so the soup has been cooking about 40 minutes, maybe just a little under 40 minutes. So I've been stirring it, and I'm going to add some liquid. I said it's gotta really stay above the meat. And by the way, I boiled this water. It doesn't stop anything from cooking, doesn't slow you down at all. Give it a little stir. So we have added plenty of water, continuing to cook. We are an hour in, and now it's time for the potatoes and the carrots. Now these will go 15 to 20 minutes before they're soft. I don't like them mushy, I like them soft. And then the last 5 to 8 minutes, we will add the zucchini and everything else. So I don't want everything to just spill everywhere. So do this. Now this is going to slow everything down from cooking because it's cool.
See, I would have just dumped it in there.
I know you would have. I know you. Putting everything in. All right, set the timer. 15, let's do 18 minutes, and we'll meet back here in 18. All right, so we're adding the jalapeno in with the potatoes and the carrots because these are harder. As Zucchinis take no time at all. Want those seeds in there automatic?
Yes.
I know you do. All right, so I just finished skimming the top again. I've done it several times throughout the process, and we're about 5-6 minutes in with potatoes, so we have a ways to go. I just wanted to show you how everything's looking. It looks really good. So we have about 10 more minutes, 10-12 more minutes to go, and then we'll add the zucchini and the corn. All right, so we're gonna add the zucchini now because we have about 6 to 8 minutes left. And we are also going to add the frozen corn because I cheated. And we're gonna add some salt. People are probably wondering, why did you put salt in? I am a saltaholic. You can ask DJ Automatic.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to really get a hold of not putting too much salt in food. Plus, if you cook it anyway, it cooks out the taste, the sodium stays there. So we'll just do that now. And I'm gonna do maybe a couple of, maybe half teaspoons, a couple, little sea salt. I'm putting a little corn tortilla on the comal. I usually love flour tortillas, but we're trying to do healthy Mexican. My nana used to make homemade flour tortillas for caldo, and she would put arroz, Spanish rice on the side, which we don't do because it's not healthy. So we're letting the tortilla cook. Let me flip it. This is the comal. In fact, when we were moving from one house to another, Automatic ran back in and said, we almost forgot the best part of our treasures, the comal. So hold on. Let this cook a little bit and I'll turn it again. Some people squeeze lime on their tortilla. Some people put butter. You know, it's up to you. But we'll keep it corn, keep it somewhat healthy. And I hate them raw, so I wait till they're really, really, really nice and brown and cooked. Last one. But what I'm gonna do is add cilantro. Now, you don't have to do this. This is optional. Some people put it in their bowl because not everybody likes cilantro. Well, everybody in this house likes cilantro, so put it up in there. This is the very last step. I finished the caldo de res and we're ready to eat. I know I was really hungry. Are you hungry?
Yes.
I add a little more salt because I don't cook with a lot of salt because I'm a saltaholic. I like pepper in mine. There's tortillas here. Some people put lime on them. Some people use flour. We're not doing that. We're trying to be healthy. And now I'm gonna take a little taste. Get a piece of the meat and the potato. Let's see. It's really hot because we just finished it. Well, so that is traditional Mexican caldo de res with a few little touches of things I like. Like I said, some of it is optional, so I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for cooking with DC. We're gonna eat now. Bye.